On the show today, class is in. Susan continues our education by looking at what we try to avoid in dreams. We tell you what doors mean in dreams. And as always, we interpret the dreams you sent in during the week, all the while taking your calls on 425-373-5527. Welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show all about your dreams and their meanings. I'm Michael Sheridan. With me again in studio is Susan Pullen.
Hi, Michael.
Hello. Thanks to everyone who sent dreams to radioShow at dream-analysis.com or to us through Facebook. You can get our Facebook details and more at dream-analysis.com. You can also get archives of previous shows and lots more. If you had a recent dream or one that has stuck with you over the years, feel free to call us on 425-373-5527. We do our best to get the meanings and answers to you while on the air. This Saturday you can meet Heidi, Susan and me at the Conscious Wellness Expo in Kent Commons. I'll be speaking at the event at 2 p.m, so please do come along for that. Again, the details are on dream-analysis.com. We start off today again with a discussion on dreams. Our intention with each of these segments is to give you a richer understanding of why we dream the way we do and what your dreams mean. That is, after all, what we all want to know and why you're listening to the show. Well, except for Trevor. We turned his radio to KKNW and ripped off the knob. Well, as with any new language, when you try to learn, there are rules. Last week, Susan covered Rule 1, everything is me, and this week we are jumping to Rule 4, avoidance. Susan, this is probably the easiest of all the 4 rules, which is why we've skipped ahead to it. After all, it's very easy to tell what you're avoiding in your dream. Are you afraid to go into the ocean because of the sharks? Are you hiding from the maniac with a gun? Is someone chasing you? The avoidance scenario is definitely easy to spot.
Yes, Michael. Dreams hold up a mirror to show us what we're avoiding in waking life. And because we avoid them in waking life, we also avoid those same things in symbolic form in our dreams. So many dreams have a theme of hiding or running away because you're being chased by someone you find frightening. And in the dream, you might not know what you're hiding from. You might know what you're hiding from, like a bad guy or an animal, or you may not even know what's chasing you. You just feel like it's bad and you have to run.
That's always funny, I think, when you don't even know what's behind you, but you have to get away from it.
Yeah. So dreams try to get us to face our fears and move past them. And it's not that the dream is intended to frighten us, but rather it's showing us how we're already reacting in waking life. So our dreams will point out that we're running from dealing with our past or that we're being chased by it and encourage us to stop running and take a real look at it. For example, a dream where you're being chased by an evil woman may not have started out that way. The intention of the dream may have started out to heal you because of like a specific issue with your mother in the past. And we know it's mother because it's a woman doing the chasing. And we know it's the past because she's behind you in the dream. So in creating the dream, your higher self would not have selected an evil woman. It would have selected a healing agent to play the role of your mother. But you end up projecting at the speed of thought in the dream, and you change the character of the healing agent so that she becomes an ogre. And the fact that you turn the character evil tells us your reaction to the subject matter. That's
interesting then. So a lot of people go, why do I have the nightmares? And working on yourself, doing therapies and eliminating issues, that really helps stop my nightmares because it stops you projecting onto these characters in the dreams that would otherwise be very positive.
Yeah. So in waking life, you may have suppressed these issues so well that you don't remember them, or more likely you don't feel like they affect you anymore. But in the dream, we see a more accurate reflection of your reality, because in the dream state, you don't have the luxury of suppression. You can twist the dream, but you can't suppress it totally. So we say this all the time, but it's worth repeating. In the dream state, you know exactly what the dream is about. So you fully know that the dream is addressing your childhood issues with mom, and you know you're running away from them. And when we put it all together, we can say with absolute confidence that the dream shows fears picked up in childhood, symbolized by fear of something behind you in the dream, that must be looked at in the present because you're having this dream now. So it's like your higher self saying, of all the subjects I can select from, this is the most important one right now.
Yeah, not always the thing we want to look at.
No, in fact, clearly the one we don't want to look at.
I want to dream with the lotto numbers. Where do I keep getting this?
Yeah. So you might be asking, why would your higher self think this is important? Why is this important now? And the answer is probably because the act of suppressing this, of not looking at it, becomes very costly for us. And so at this point in your life, it might be affecting your health, or it might be causing you to miss opportunities in life, like fulfilling, loving relationships that are available to you now. So as we've said in other shows, dreams bring up issues when you're in a position to deal with them. So if a dream asks you to deal with something you've been afraid to face, remember that it's coming up now because the conditions are right and you have the resources available to you to deal with it now. So it might feel scary, but when we can get ourselves to move past the fear, we'll be far better for it.
Excellent. And they all lived happily ever after.
That's right. We all lived happily ever after.
So do you have any example dreams with, fears and hiding?
Well, I do. I have loads. Let's see. So here's one. I went through dreams that people had submitted for us and found some, picked a couple gems. So this one is called the Shark Dream. I'm on a sailboat in the middle of the ocean on a clear, sunny day. I jump into the water, but then I see a giant shark swimming right at me with open jaws. It's probably a 30 or 40 foot long shark. This is a huge shark. I'm terrified, and I swim to the boat as fast as I can. I climb onto the boat, totally relieved that I escape. And then I turn around and see the shark is charging the boat. I'm terrified again, and I run to the bow of the boat, and I breathe a sigh of relief to be away from the shark. And then I turn around and see the shark is starting to eat the back of the boat. So I panic and climb up to the top of the mast, and I breathe a sigh of relief again to be away from the shark. And then I look down and I see the shark is eating his way up the mast after me. We were talking about how everything is you.
That sounds very cartoon-like. How can you eat your way up the mast? But it's a very interesting dream, and a lot of dreams are like that. The fact that the shark keeps hanging around, keeps persistent, is still beside me regardless of everything I do. So basically what the dream shows is when I repress or try hide from something that's or run away from something that I really do need to look at in life, I do get a reprieve, but it's very short-lived, and it's going to come up again, and it's going to be stronger or just as fierce. And they just don't diminish over time. The problems do not diminish; they grow. And like you said in your piece, that when we don't deal with these, because they get stronger, the cost of suppressing them gets higher and higher, and eventually it can become a health cost, or it'll become a cost of happiness in your life. And we have a life plan. That's also another important thing, I suppose. We have a life plan. There's certain things that we've agreed we're going to do, and one of them is we've agreed that we're going to deal with these issues by a certain stage in our lives, and then we're going to start doing something different. Now we can get to the end of our lives and still not deal with them, and we will still have learned and achieved something, but we're much better off if we can deal with them, get over them, and then start living phase 2 of our life, and it's always much happier, much better.
Yeah. And so, Michael, I know we talked about how dreams may have started out with the intention of healing us. And I noticed that in this dream, it starts out on a clear, sunny day.
Yeah, it's perfect, isn't it? So it's like, okay, your higher self sends you a dream. Here's everything. You're on a boat, idyllic situation, beautiful, calm ocean. What do? What would you add into that picture? Well, that can't be right. Something has to go wrong. There you go. There's a shark. I knew it. But you've projected that into the dream. But that tells us, that a couple of things. First of all, teeth in dreams have to do with child rearing, our ability to raise our children. And we've covered that so many times before. Why? If anybody wants to know why, again, they can ask. But it can also be about taking a bite at life. And so the dream is saying that while I'm in this situation, my fear is that instead of me taking a bite at life, life is taking a bite at me, and things are too overwhelming or too powerful, and I'm trying to run away from that. I want it to be calmer. I want it to be not what it is. But it can also be the child rearing too. So it'd be easy for the dreamer to know that they feel sort of overwhelmed when it comes to raising the kids. And I say that because we have in this dream that the dreamer's on their own. So they're not with somebody doing it. And it could even be a mix. Dreams are very creative. It's amazing. They will pick symbols that might have multiple meanings, and quite often the multiple meanings apply to us, those in our lives.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we don't always emphasize on the show, but that dreams can have layers of meaning.
Oh, absolutely.
And, yeah.
So here we also see, because he goes up the mast, it's like the dangers in life or the fears I have from life have caused me to become intellectual, and that's what going up the mast represents in that dream.
Because he's moving up.
Yes, but it sounds like in that dream that the shark is chomping the mast down, so he's coming down whether he wants it or not. Well, but it'll show. The whole idea is to show that I can't escape it by being intellectual. I need to deal with these issues, and of course, fears are a feeling; they're an emotion. So, we've suppressed something to hide these fears, but we've also then suppressed happiness and joy and all the other things. We can't just be selective about suppressing a particular feeling. We have to suppress all feelings. And the dream is saying, okay, time's up for you doing that. You've got to deal with that.
Yeah. And this shark is so huge, 30 or 40 feet.
I wouldn't know, because they're only the size of my TV. Ever since my ancestors evolved and got out of the oceans, I've never had a desire to go back. So I will never see a shark up close and personal.
Okay.
Okay, all right. You're wondering, why is the shark so big? It's we exaggerate in dreams, so we project. So it's like these fears are out of proportion in reality. There's no way life is too hard for this person. We just don't plan that type of life. So I project these fears, and then I run away from the fears I project. It's not saying that this is going to happen in life. So when you deal with the things, when you realize what they are, and get whatever it takes, maybe you need help, maybe you don't need help. It's maybe something you can do on your own. But once you do that, then you'll be fine, and you realize I had been exaggerating this in my mind, blown it out of proportion. That's the way to put it.
Yeah. So let me give you another dream that's a good example with hiding.
Okay.
So this one is called Hiding from the Police. I'm at my father's house, and it's present day, and no one lives in the house. I'm homesick. The police are outside the back door, and they want to come in, but I don't want them to know I'm there. I wrap myself in a blanket and manage to slip past the door and go downstairs. Downstairs, all the lights are on. My partner is there, but he's sort of like a ghost, or he's just visiting the dream. He's not really in the dream. I don't know how that works. But, I go through the rooms and turn off the lights, but I have trouble turning off the lights in the rec room. My partner points out that I left a light on by the footstool upstairs. Okay.
And we talked about this dream earlier, briefly. So what's clear from the dream is the police are at the ground level and the dreamer goes downstairs. So she's in a dream, anything below ground level is subconscious, or at least partially subconscious, something that you want to suppress. We also know that the father's house is where she grew up, but they don't live there anymore, the father or her. So this dream is bringing her back to her childhood and saying she needs to deal with issues connected with her father. And because the police are spiritual, they're an authority, they represent our spiritual authority in dreams, regardless of what your view of the police is. So they're always going to be good in a dream, or at least they will always set out to be good in a dream. And so getting in touch with them is a really positive thing. So they would be saying, look, it's up to you to pursue your spiritual path. All our paths are spiritual, by the way, regardless of what we're doing. Life is a spiritual journey, and we can learn a lot about ourselves through the experiences we have in life. So whether you're into channeling or psychic things, it doesn't matter. It's still a spiritual journey where you learn about yourself. So the dream is saying, look, the guides are saying you need to get into what it is you're meant to be doing. But because of issues with her father in childhood, the dreamer wants to hide. She wants to protect herself from that. So we can deduce, but we can easily ask the dreamer, did your dad abuse his authority in your childhood because you're trying to hide from authority figures, your spiritual authorities in life? And so that's what it's going to be about. And going downstairs and turning off all the lights is like, I don't really want to do this. I know that I planned to do something. I know I was meant to do all these things, but I've decided at this point in my life I'm not going to do that. Well, the good news is you won't be led away with doing that. The guides are going to pursue you, and they're going to say, look, deal with the issues, because that's part of how you learn about yourself in your life. and then you can help other people. So, and we know that's an old dream too. I mean,
Yeah.
you said it was a few years old, so
Yeah.
we can have the dreamer phone up and say, "Hey, you're totally wrong. I'm still as screwed up as ever," or not, as the case may be. And I suspect not, because when you have dreams like that, the police are at the door. They're basically saying, "Look, now is the time." Doors are our symbol for the day, and doors represent opportunity. So the guys, by being at the police, by being at the door, are saying it's up to you to create an opportunity. Open the door and let us in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And life has a way of keeping on giving us those opportunities to deal
Yes.
with things and not letting us off the hook.
Some people call them opportunities.
I like to call them opportunities.
Or challenges.
So you're probably getting a feel for how avoidance shows up in dreams. And if this is reminding you of one of your own dreams and you'd like to learn more about it, you can give us a call here on the air at 425-373-5527. And we'll take a short break.
Perfect.
Do you suffer from never wanting to be ill? Apply Michael Sheridan's Dream Tonic nightly. It's sure to prevent all manner of diseases.
Let's get serious. All around, you see adverts telling you how to spot the signs of debilitating illness, and that's great. But that's also depressing. The good news is, your dreams last night already told you the specific condition you are susceptible to. That includes stroke, heart attack, cancers, and more. Isn't that great? Yeah, I don't expect you're smiling. But when I tell you that your dreams also tell you why and what you need to do to prevent the condition from ever occurring, that should put a smile on your face. I don't expect to convince you in a 30-second ad, but I will if you attend my 2-day intensive dream course. Don't be a statistic. Stay in control of your health. Michael Sheridan's Dream Workshop Seattle, September 26th and 27th. Register at dream-analysis.com. St. John, New Brunswick, October 3rd and 4th.
Are you feeling stuck? Are you trapped in the same old patterns of negativity, fear, or self-doubt? I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts, and I can help you to finally change those old patterns so you can move ahead at last. You may have already tried to change these patterns yourself, maybe with therapy, meditation, or sheer willpower. Certainly these can have benefits sometimes, but they don't always get to the root of what's holding you back. Now is the time for you to break free of the things that keep you stuck, so you can realize your true radiance. Find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
Hello, this is Heidi. How can I help you?
You tell me. You're the psychic.
That's not how it works. I am a medium. I connect to your spirit guides and loved ones and pass on their messages to you.
So why did I call? Use the force, Heidi.
Look, I can get answers to any questions you ask. That's not a problem. They can be about anything: relationships, career, children, finances, anything.
Anything? Okay. What's my favorite color?
Dave, your mom says you're being childish.
For readings with Heidi, go to angelsontheline.com.
Feed your mind and your body and spirit will follow. Alternative Talk 1150.
And for readings with Heidi, you can actually go to Kent Commons this weekend. 10 o'clock till 4 o'clock. I think the whole show is on. 78 exhibitors. We're going to be there. Me, Susan and Heidi.
Yep.
So you can ask us anything you want or drop a dream off for the show or have us do one there. So I find this an interesting subject, and you've talked about, I suppose avoidance is by necessity is going to bring up things that seem negative, dealing with issues, dealing with childhood stuff. But is that always?
Yeah, I think they always seem negative in the dream, but I think they're not always. Sometimes they're things we haven't accepted or can't see about ourselves, but they may actually be positive traits, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. But a lot of things are a blessing in disguise when you've worked on yourself and you've dealt with the issues, and you realize how much stronger you've become. And the whole point of dealing with these issues, when you deal with them successfully, you're never going to be affected by those things again. You're never running away from them again, and so you haven't splintered your personality. Part of you is at the back door defending or holding back something that you're afraid of. whereas you can focus all your energy on something. But yeah, some of the positives, we have dreams that will point out an ability we have, like channeling. And I picked that one because a lot of people are afraid of that one. And I think they're afraid of it because a lot of the time, when you see Hollywood movies and channeling, there's always a fear element in it, because that's good for movies. But it's not the case when you channel. There's no fear whatsoever involved in channeling when you learn how to do it. But a lot of the fear too that people have is genuine because it comes from former lives where people were persecuted. We don't realize that in this part of the country, it's not just this time in the world, but at this part of the country and this time of the world, we're living in a very sweet spot in terms of we can talk about these things, and we can even talk about them on the radio. Go back 100 years and you would have been burned at the stake, and people have memories of those from former lives. So
yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah. And that's part of the work I end up doing with people. People come to me with fears, feeling stuck in fear in a lot of cases. And so I do a lot of work with releasing fear and moving ahead in spite of fear. And I think that when we get into the realm, especially in the realm of like what we're meant to be doing or what we feel like we're meant to be doing, it feels like the stakes are so high, it can actually bring up even more fear around those things, the gifts that we bring. Yeah,
that's interesting. And it is funny. I've seen people where their dreams say, for instance, you've got a counselling ability, and they're like, oh, well, I couldn't make money as a counsellor. Nobody can make money as a counsellor, which is not true.
Yeah.
But they have that fear. They project onto it and they say, well, I could do something else. But it's really just a distraction. So they might want to become a healer. Mm-hmm. And there you are. One of yours is, your dreams bring up all the time, is that you have a healing ability. And, I don't know if it's something that you dived at. I said, okay, that's brilliant. I'm delighted to hear it.
Yeah, no. I resisted it for a while. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
How long's a while?
Years.
Okay. And people do resist, and you see that resistance in dreams, so you could share one of yours if you want, now or at a later time. It'd be good to, in fact, talk about healing. We should do a show that is just about healing and dreams about healing, and then you could talk about how people can use that. Because it's practical. So an awful lot of people have abilities that are listening that they just don't know where to go or what to do or even how to think about them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, because of their upbringing, especially if it's particularly religious, have a conflicted view of that too, because some religions will say, you're not to do this, you can't do this, only one person could ever have done this.
Right.
And, that's not true, because even in the Bible, Jesus says many people have the same abilities he has, and many people have them in greater strength. You will still have religious leaders saying that's not the case. So you can see where the contradiction is there, mm-hmm. clearly in with the people who say that. But it gets passed on to people, and it holds them back. So a lot of people are held back by their upbringing, which is another type of fear.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that we see is fears from upbringing, from our childhood, right? That are things that we pick up from childhood.
That we're meant to pick up, of course. I say that all the time, of course.
Yes.
Nobody's punched me in the face yet, but it's we've all had, we've all lived a life, and we tend to compare our lives against other people. Some people will say, well, mine isn't as bad as X, so I'm okay. And that's kind of like putting your head in the sand and saying, no, look, you still need to look at your life. You still need to look at your past, deal with any issues that are still there, if they are, and if they're coming up in your dreams, and you're going to be stronger from doing it. But we pick these things from a spiritual perspective, and we think it's okay then when it isn't. When we get here, we think it isn't.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at a really strong dream. And I didn't know whether to make this a feature dream or not, because it's so strong and it's so negative. So I have two dreams in my hand. So let's see. It's from Amanda. She says, I was in an apartment building living with my mom and others. We kicked out my cousin. Now, I meant to ask Amanda what gender was the cousin, what age was the cousin, and what were the traits. Why did you kick them out? Because that's a big, big clue to us from a dream. Suddenly we see on the news that there is a crazy woman who is flying by windows and cutting the throats of all the families. She's covered in blood. Ugh. So we lock up all the windows and doors. Then my cousin comes over smoking by the balcony window. There's another cousin, I presume. We yell at her to shut it. She doesn't understand why, so we tell her. That night she stayed over, afraid to go outside. Then she has a dream and woke up crying and terrified. She dreamed of the woman in her sleep, and in her dream the woman went to a church. She tied a rope that started from the top of the cathedral down to the floor inside the church. There was a wooden balcony there. She wrapped the rope around her neck, went to jump. Her husband, son and daughter came in time and yelled and cried for her not to do it. And with a wicked look she stared at them and then jumped, hit the floor and was covered in blood. Suddenly she jumped back up, so she's not dead, on the rope, pulling herself up with her claws. With a wicked laugh she reached her family. She laughed and tossed them off the balcony and then took the rope and started to slaughter whoever had their window open. Okay, so I mean that's horrific. You know straight away from that dream that this dreamer has gone through some serious stuff. And I've been in discussion with her and we know what some of those are. But without getting into those details, we can say that the dream focuses on your mom, you shutting yourself off, and that's indicated by closing the doors and the windows. Repression of your sexual side out of fear, and that's given by yelling to stop smoking in the dream. But strong desires there at the same time because smoking is addictive. The extremes in behaviour of the characters, I assume, match a dissociative identity that the dreamer has. And of course, it's exaggerated in a dream for us to see it. So we see, for instance, the person, the threatening woman, allows her to play out her rage in the dream, so it's actually intended to be therapeutic. And that's quite an interesting one, like working that into what you were saying earlier, that even though this seems very negative, it's not negative in reality because it allows the dreamer express her rage. And she says she has huge rage. She's in counselling and has been for a while. But she wakes up at night screaming and just has this massive rage because of abuse she suffered as a child. And so this type of dream sets out to allow her express that rage in a safe way. You know, even killing people in a dream like this is therapeutic because it's not the real world. I mean, it tells us a lot about your real world, but it's not the real world, so there's no repercussions from doing it, and it lets you do something that you couldn't do or something that you had to suppress. But we also see in this dream she also suppresses. So we have her with the rage and we have the suppression because the suppressed side of her is closing the doors. Slashing the throats, hanging and shutting the doors and windows all indicate suppression of expression because that's the chakra to do with that. And particularly not expressing how you feel. So that's why the
emphasis on the neck, you mean?
Yes, yes. So she wouldn't, so you probably wouldn't know any of these things about her if you met her. And then when she would start talking, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I now wish you'd stop talking because there's so much there and I don't know what to do with. It's that, there's that much there. And because there's that much there, it's like the psyche splinters and says, okay, I can deal with this if I have a personality for dealing with it. And then I have another personality for doing something else. And that's how our mind helps us deal with an issue. And then, of course, reintegrating those aspects of ourselves. There's therapies are well established that help us do that. And that's an important thing for us to do. That's what else have I got? Have I any other notes? The balcony references indicate that the dreamer is very strongly intellectual. And so she can see all these things within herself. And at times I wonder, is that a blessing or a curse that you know and you can see all the issues that you have? It's actually really a blessing because you then can intellectualize and rationalize and say, okay, if I deal with this and work on this, I know where it's going to take me. And it helps you in advance to psych yourself up so that you can deal with all the horrible things that you're going to have to face. But the dream does show her way forward, and it says it's by work on opening her female and focusing on her female aspect, her inner world, expression of feelings, and even indeed acknowledging her own feelings. And we know that because she's trying to avoid this rage in the dream. So she's got to deal with the woman with the rage, and she's got to open the doors because that's how she manages to open the doors and the windows. The other thing that's really important in this dream is we have a really strongly spiritual person here because of the cathedral. I mean, the cathedral is the top, the hierarchy when it comes to religious buildings. So she's got this ability. She has an ability to communicate with spirits probably very strongly in spades, able to. And quite often, I've seen this many times, and you still wonder, and there are other ways, but I've seen this so many times. People retain their strong spiritual connection by living a life in childhood that nobody would want to live. And you say, I don't want to be here. So you get here as a child, you undergo this horrible treatment, and you say, I want to step back. I want to go back to the spirit world, please. Thank you very much. I don't like it here. But you can't do that. But by by retaining your connection with the spirit world, because you don't bond with the earth plane at all, and you want to get back to the spirit world the whole time, that really keeps that bridge open. And in later life, you're going to use that enormously to help other people. So the focus here for this dreamer now is work on herself. She doesn't sleep very well. She goes for days without sleeping because of her nightmares and so on.
Michael, can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay. So you didn't say anything about that she sees it on the news.
Okay, so the news is saying this is the headline. So news gives us, of all the things that's gone on in the world, what is the important thing, without any objective bias. So there's certain channels you cannot watch that are not objective. So with an objective bias, what should you be looking at? And the crazy woman is the one that you're seeing on the news flying by the window, slashing people's throats. So this is what you need to look at now. Look at your female side, deal with those issues. So ignore many other things. Ignore the issues with your dad, which I know are huge. And probably you would think that's where you need to start. But it's probably because you've done a lot of therapy. That's not where you need to focus now. You need to focus on female side, female energy, because we all have male and female energy. This is where you need to work and work on expressing yourself, getting to the point where you're not shuttering yourself on the inside. So you're opening up. And what else have we got? So the flying represents that she has this projection, very intellectual. The balcony also represents that too, that the woman is on. And we also have, she pulls herself up by her claws, describing things in a very bad way. So we know she has a negative body image too, which is all because of childhood. So a lot of these things, there's a lot of separate things that need to be looked at. But the first one that needs to be looked at and dealt with, according to the dream, is the separation of you from your feelings, which is what the apartment at the start is also about, and get into moving down from your head and into your heart and learning how to express things about yourself, express your feelings.
And one other thing about this dream that I notice is the dream within a dream. And I always think that's an interesting kind of theme to see, especially after that movie.
Is it Inception?
Yes, Inception. Yeah. That the idea of like a layered dream.
Yeah, and we've had that before. It's an objectivity that you get. So if I have a dream within a dream, when I wake up from that dream, I can then explain to the person or somebody can explain to me what my dream was about. And then when I wake up again, for real, I already have my dream analysed. So it's a technique, but it also shows the fracture within this person. I didn't know. We debated whether we would include that dream because it's so negative, but it is one that shows fears. But there are definitely ways to deal with those things. So I have another dream that I'm going to do that is very positive. And we will look at that. She says, my good friend and I are taking a trip to China. We've been planning this trip for a while and we're both really excited. We arrive at our destination in China and take a bus to where we're staying. The building is a dirty white brick, one-storey single-unit building with lots of big windows, and it's really run down. The scenery outside is barren desert with no plants. I'm thinking this is really very ugly. The room is somewhat run down, so we see all this run down over and over and over. And even the TV is outside on the deck and had to be watched through the window. So it's interesting, the TV, because it's a bit longer, I'm going to stop and say a little bit. So the TV's outside on the deck. So it's saying, look, this dreamer has a clairvoyant ability. TV isn't on the inside where you'd normally expect it. So when you see it put out somewhere where it's a highlight, it's saying this is a spiritual ability. So she's got this.
And she's watching it through the glass.
Yeah, so she has a psychic ability as well. The psychic ability or an intuition is where you can, you have a strong connection with your higher self and you can get information that way. So she's clairvoyant and she's got a psychic ability. So clairvoyance is where you get images remotely, which is what a TV set is actually about. And the room is so the rundown is okay. So she's not using these things. And what did she say that we planned this? Yeah, we've been planning this trip for a while. So this is about her planning her life journey. She's come here with others and she's come to a place, but she's not happy where but the way she's describing it, she's not happy with where she got to. I'm very upset and disappointed about the location and our accommodations. So again, this is like from the spirit plane. We say, yes, I'll do this. It's no problem. Let me in. And we get here and we go, whoa, this is terrible. This is not what I expected at all. I take it back. Kind of funny, but we all do it. We had someone come over to watch TV with us and show us the accommodations. We then ended up meeting a group of Americans that are living there and are very happy. They invited us to come watch a TV show at a location nearby. So the real emphasis on this TV. Are you using your clairvoyance, by the way? Oh yeah, I have another question. Are you using your clairvoyance? So it's, it's really coming up. And she's living in America, so that's where you landed. Well done. She's saying Americans are very happy. So she's saying, okay, when she looks at life around, people are happy, but she's not happy. And that's meant to be the case. So you're not meant to be happy. You're meant to be where you say, I'm not happy the way the things are. I'm going to do something about the fact that I'm not happy. Because if you were happy, you'd do nothing. I mean, that's just the way it is. People don't go to the counsellor and say, why am I so happy in my life? So it's the unhappiness. It's the lack of things cause us to question our lives and do something about it. So that's there for a reason. And it's there to get you to do, well, we see later on. I'm looking to see where I was in this. I noticed that all these people are very happy, seem nice, thin and in good shape. Even I am thin and in good shape. Okay, so are you thin and in good shape? Maybe you need to get in better shape. I'm wondering how they could be so happy being in such a horrible looking environment. The next day we leave to go on a scuba trip. Okay, so we're now getting to the crux of it. So scuba is about getting into the water, getting into the ocean. It's about getting into your spiritual side. Kind of obvious it's my favourite aspect of dream analysis. So this is something you need to do. You're on the bus, the driver gets off to do something, and I take over driving the bus. So you're meant to work with groups of people. You even mentioned earlier that there was a group. You sat and looked around the group. So you're here and you're meant to work with groups of people in the spiritual field. I pull up in front of the scuba shop to await directions, so that's fine. I notice other buses parking and people getting out to go diving. I look around the environment and again notice how barren and ugly it is, even with it being a nice, beautiful, sunny day. So you're also a healer. I'm trying to determine where is the place where we are going to go diving. Where is the water? I'm very upset, angry and confused by this trip. It isn't what we had planned. I wanted to go home. Well, yes, it is. It is what you've planned. You're not meant to be satisfied. You're meant to be dissatisfied and do something so that you work with others and work with them in groups. Okay, we have Lily on the line in Seattle. She's been hanging on there for a while. Hi, Lily.
Hi, how are you doing this afternoon?
Very good. Do you have a dream or a question?
I have a dream, okay? And this is about my male friend, and I'm on the bus headed a direction, and I look out the window, and I see my male friend. So I say to his brother, who's on the same bus with me, and another friend, oh, there he is, and let's get off, and we'll catch the next bus with him. But I jump off the bus, and I go to look for him, and I see him standing in the corner, and he's there, and he's a little bit tipsy. He's had something to drink. So he's standing there, but next to him is like a little tiny alien woman. And I know it's a woman by the voice, and it's like she's disfigured. She looks weird. So she says to me, well, I'm in love with him. And I said, do you love her? And he says, yes, I love her. And then she has this big bag where she puts something in this big bag after she says that. And I said, well, if you're in love with her, you can't be in love with me. And that's how the dream ends.
Okay. So are you in a relationship with this man in reality?
Yes,
okay.
yes,
okay.
Yes.
So, and then going on the bus, you're on the bus, you're with his brother. So obviously you know his brother. How long are you going with the guy?
3 years.
Okay. So what would be the traits that his brother has that he doesn't have? And, typically when you think of people, like if I say, hey, what do you think of Lily to somebody, they will think of either your positive traits if that's really dominant or a negative traits if that's really dominant. So when you think of the brother and you think of the family issues, what trait comes up for the brother?
He's easygoing.
Okay. And is your partner easygoing?
Sometimes he's not.
And we all know who you are, so you have to be very delicate here. So, okay. So the dream is trying to get you then to be more easygoing because you've got the traits, you've got these traits too. So you look at the relationship because it's going to be about the relationship. He's not on the bus. That says a lot. So you got to be more easygoing and realize that he's not on the bus with you. He isn't going, if you were to stop and say, where are we heading in life? He would probably give a different answer than you. And the dream is trying to get you to relax about that because his brother is an easygoing kind of guy. Now, what's negative here is you get off the bus to be with this guy. So really what the dream is saying, don't stop your direction in life to be with somebody. You can still be with somebody and keep your direction in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't sacrifice things, don't suppress things about yourself just for the sake of a relationship. That's not what relationships are meant to do, although we nearly always all do it. Our or somebody will ask us to sacrifice something about ourselves, or we may ask somebody else. We don't tend to do both. But the dream is showing that you are tending to suppress part of what you want in life to be with this person, and then he's a bit tipsy. So that can be exactly as it is, and be delicate here, or it can be saying that he suppresses his feelings. He doesn't really share himself, because when we drink alcohol, that's one of the things it does. It lowers our inhibitions. It suppresses our sensitivities, and then we can talk about things that we would normally feel very uncomfortable talking about, or we're good in social situations when we have a drink, whereas maybe we're not when we don't have a drink. So you look at an aspect of yourself that you're suppressing, because I'm saying you're getting off the bus. So what are you suppressing to be in the relationship? And don't suppress it. You want to find a way of being in the relationship and not suppressing that part of yourself. And then, of course, stop and interject here, of course, but then you have the alien woman. So any ideas what the alien woman could represent? And don't say your future mother-in-law.
Okay, then.
So do you have any idea who the alien woman can represent?
No, I don't know. She's like a little short, little alien woman. I mean, just like something you see in those movies, with the big head is really big.
Oh, okay. So that says he suppresses his feelings. So he's very intellectual, up in his head, and he'd be very logical and say, well, this is why we should do something, as opposed to, this would really bring us a lot of happiness if we were to do this. So you have a difficulty communicating with him when you say, well, I would just be happier if we did this. Because happiness for him should be at the end of a deeply thought out, logical way of getting to something, which of course it doesn't work that way. We're just happy when we're happy. And so that's probably the part of yourself that will suffer if you sacrifice part of yourself too. And putting something in a bag is not good in a dream. That's repressing something as well. So that we have many symbols indicating repression here. And it doesn't have to be big. Dreams exaggerate. So, but I would say it's going to go along with, don't copy him. Don't give up on your feelings. You want to do things that make you happy in life. That's part of the focus, as opposed to part of where you end up. You don't arrive at being happy. You start off with that as your intention. So keep that as part of your goal in the relationship, and don't get off the bus just for that.
And and what's ironic, we were talking, and one day, and I shared with him, I said, I enjoy the simple things. I get a kick out of little simple things. And he laughed that time. I'll never forget that. Yeah, I said I enjoy the simple. I do. I mean, kind of like a little kid still, in the sense that little things can be, magical to me. And to him, he thinks that's like weird. But
that has huge value if you can, because it's very therapeutic. If you can get fun out of a lot of little things, then even when things are tough, you can say, okay, I'm going to take a break and do something that is going to give you fun, and it recharges your batteries. So it's really good to not let go of that, but it isn't negative. But it does, again, it shows you the fact that you spotted it is exactly correct.
Okay.
That's a difference, and realize there's a difference. So you can't be him, you can't be like him. And here's one of the things: we get attracted to people because of their difference from us. They normally have a trait that we don't have. Like they'll drag us out to a party when I would never go, but yet I will enjoy myself. That sort of thing. But yet we meet each other, and then we start molding each other, and we become other than the person that we were attracted to in the first place. So you don't want to lose that part of yourself either, because that's what he likes about you.
Okay. Sounds good. I thank you for your time.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Okay. Bye.
So I'm looking at the time. Okay, we'll take another break. Back in a second. Have you had a puzzling dream, a nightmare, or a dream that has stayed with you since childhood? Michael Sheridan here. If you're a regular listener to my show, and I sincerely hope you are, you have a good idea of the valuable advice your dreams give on relationships, career, life purpose, and much more. But what you hear on the show just barely scratches the surface compared to what you get with a full analysis. Treat yourself by having your dream fully analysed. The recorded analysis you receive is typically 20 to 35 minutes long. Go to dream-analysis.com for more. There's even a discount for KKNW listeners, and you don't even have to tell me that I sent you.
Are you wondering about your path in life? Do you have the sense there's something you're here on earth to do, but you're not sure what that could be? Maybe you've had a major change in your life recently, and you're asking yourself, what's next for me? I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts, and I believe that each of us comes to this lifetime for a reason. Not only do we come with a specific aim for our life, we also bring with us special gifts that help us to make our unique contribution. Now is the time for you to discover your gifts and your life purpose. Now is the time for you to realize your true radiance. Find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
Hello, this is Heidi. How can I help you?
You tell me. You're the psychic.
That's not how it works. I am a medium. I connect to your spirit guides and loved ones and pass on their messages to you.
So why did I call? Use the force, Heidi.
Look, I can get answers to any questions you ask. That's not a problem. They can be about anything: relationships, career, children, finances, anything.
Anything? Okay. What's my favorite color?
Dave, your mom says you're being childish.
For readings with Heidi, go to angelsontheline.com.
Body, mind, and spirit. Alternative Talk 1150 covers it all.
Welcome back to So You Think You're Awake. I'm Michael Sheridan, and with me in studio is Susan Pullen. And the number, if you want to call, although there's very little time now, is 425-373-5527. My gosh, I know that number off by heart now. So a quick look at some dreams. We have this one called Amazing Grace from James. And we've got to try pick it up from the the depths of where we brought the show earlier. I'm walking into a classroom that looks like an auditorium. It is dimly lit. I'm making my way to a seat, which is like the desk seats in classrooms. I sit in a row, the third seat in, and I have two empty seats to my left. I always find the detail that people have in dreams brilliant. The person leading the class asks us to stand up and sing Amazing Grace. I have a hymnal, and I begin to look up the song to sing along. Another man comes up to me on my right, taking the book from me, saying that I don't need the book because I know the words. I begin to sing along and clap my hands as I watch some of the people around me dance with joy as they sing the hymn. I do find the words coming easily, more than I thought. And he says, I woke up feeling the dream was really significant. And then he says, I know they all are. And I know the word grace can imply dharma, which it does. It's very good to have it in a dream. Whether it's grace like this, or Graceland, or anything that has the word grace in it. What have we got? It says, how can a person know if his or her path is changing, and can it change back from karma to dharma and flip just as easily? And the answer is yes, it can. Usually our fears cause us to slip onto the dharmic path, but there is something we can do in our lives that would probably always be on the dharmic path for us, that, you know, when we're in it, we're in the zone. That's the dharmic path. You're in the zone. But you can get to the point where you're living life in the zone, and you know why you're living, you know why you're here, you know why all the interactions are happening, and it's just a state of absolute bliss. And but we can be in that zone for particular things in our lives and out of it for others. So we can actually be on both the dharmic and karmic path, believe it or not. But it's great to, when I say get on the dharmic path, I'm talking about getting on it for everything. So anyway, this dream is about your clairaudience. You have an ability to hear guides, and that's what the auditorium is about. You say the auditorium is dimly lit, so okay, so right now you're like, okay, I need more illumination on this. I don't really quite see what I'm meant to be doing with it. But you're making your way to your seat, which is good, and you say you sit the third row in, there's two empty seats to your left. And of course the twos come up in dreams about channeling. What's interesting here, though, of course, third row in is about commitment. So you're coming in and you're committing to this. You then stand up, and that's really good in a dream, to stand up, because making yourself taller with regard to this ability is positive. And then somebody from your right, and the right is the present or the future. So somebody has taken away the book. So they're taking away the script, so to speak, that says, okay, this is what you need to follow along with. It's saying you already know the words. So it's saying, look, you've already got the practice. You've already know what to do. You can already sing. It's not about how do I channel. You just go ahead and channel. And but it's a very good dream. And stop me if there's anything I missed in that, Susan, because I didn't have notes on it.
Yep.
Here's another one, another positive one. It's called Just Like Magic. And this is somebody who was cutting the ties with her dad. And we're going to cover that in another show. I always say that, but we are. She calls it just like magic. I was in the dream. I was standing in a stark room with clean white, grey, and beige finishes. Now, beige has to do with tolerance and acceptance, and when we see it beside the white, it's to overcome a controlling, perfectionist attitude. So it's good to see beside those. In the middle of the room was a long rectangular white table, and on the table was a tall cylindrical clear vase that was filled with orange, purple, and yellow flowers. Flowers have to do with love, and purple says you're a spiritual leader. Orange says it's part of your path in life, and the yellow then is part of the healing that we're going through. It's also healing. Orange and yellow are also healing for your digestive and elimination systems. The bright flowers were beautiful and contrast against the neutral colours of the room. Very good. I was standing a few feet away from the table when a young man with a beard got up from his chair, and he was mad about something. No idea what, but he walked on the opposite side of the table from me, and as he went by, he slammed the vase down and kept walking. So this is like anger, issues connected with your dad, which is what you dealt with, cutting the ties with your dad. Of course, the vase fell, hit the table, and shattered. Glass, water, and flowers went everywhere. I was stunned that he'd done that and started to move in to clean up the mess. But then I stopped. I decided this man and his anger wasn't going to mess up my world, and I wasn't going to be responsible for cleaning up the mess from his tantrum. So this is really good. This is why I like this dream. Because she's cut the ties, she's now going to take a shortcut in the dream, which is really cool, to deal with all the issues and stop this from affecting her. So we know what's affecting her. Smashing the vase is going to be about not feeling loved, being put down when I ask for love, all that sort of stuff. The realization came to me just as I reached out to pick up glass. Now the glass is going to be about your intuition, your psychic connection. So this is telling you this is the way you can do this now. But at that moment, my gesture changed. My hand swooshed in the air instead, and my simultaneous thought was that the vase, the glass, water, flowers and all, would be put back together magically based on my intention. And as I had the thought and did the gesture in the air, it actually happened. I knew in that moment that no man could mess up my world again, just like magic. And that's perfect. That's exactly why you cut the ties, to deal with those issues, get past them, and in doing that, they no longer affect you. And this dream is clearly you saying they no longer affect you. And I am looking for a particular dream. So, Susan, will you sing a song while I... Okay, I said I would do this one. Black smoke. In my dream, I'm outside, but no place that I recognise. It's a man's dream. In the distance to my left, I see black smoke filling the sky. I think a house is burning. I look to the right, and I see an oncoming train with a huge black smoke billowing from the white steam, where the white steam usually appears. I don't see any tracks from the train, but it is coming towards me. I lay down on the ground to hide from all the black smoke. I'm on a steep hillside by where the train will pass. I'm thinking that the air around me will soon be all black from this smoke. Then I have a strange thought. I wonder what will I do if some animals try to attack me while I'm lying down on the ground. I realise that I can only stretch my arms and defend myself since I'm lying on the ground where the train is going to pass. I wake up before the train passes me. And of course, this isn't a nice dream. And I wish I didn't say I'd do it, but it's about you were depressed in the past because of the death of your wife due to cancer. And okay, the dream doesn't tell us that, but we know the house burning in the past. The house is a body, so severe emotional turmoil connected with the loss of your wife. But now when we see this train coming from the right, and we have black smoke coming out of it, we have this black smoke is going to be about depression. So you've experienced this before, depression with what you went through with your wife's illness. And we have something now coming at you again. Now, we don't know if this is real or not, but it's there and it's present. And I know from what you've told me, it's connected with your brother. He's a cancer survivor and recently is getting more tests done. So the dream is really saying, okay, this is coming. You've got, why have the dream? The dream's saying, because we see the black smoke, the depression, which is what that's going to represent, is there where the white steam should be. It's saying, look, you need to deal with pent-up anger. That's going to be what helps you avoid heading into depression over your brother. And again, we don't know from the dream what the outcome is going to be there. So there's no point heading into something, becoming depressed. So deal with the anger, do something that expresses it and gets that out of your system, and you're going to avoid this in the first place. And that's always good. So we just have a little bit of time.
Michael,
Susan,
can I ask you a question about that one? So where does the anger come in?
The steam. It's water heated by fire. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got to let off steam, and the train isn't letting off steam. So that's what's getting at him. So you've a class coming up, Susan.
Yes, I do. It's called Healing Dreams and Imagination, and
2 weeks from Saturday. Is
yeah,
it?
2 weeks from Saturday. You can find details on my website, true-radiance.com.
Okay, perfect. I'm not sure if we mentioned it in the ad breaks. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Okay, so a reminder that you can meet all three of us at the Conscious Wellness Expo in Kent on Saturday. It's open from 10 to 4. I'm speaking at 2 o'clock, so please do come along. Come along to heckle, even though don't heckle. You can heckle the next caller. Mike Collins said to, what have we got? Thanks for listening. Remember to send your dreams to radioshow@dream-analysis.com. That's very important. Thanks to our producer and engineer, Eric Ryder. And until next week, and from Susan, from me, we will see you and leave you with this quote. One becomes enlightened by making the darkness conscious. And that's from Carl Jung.
Thanks for listening.